All right, so Hawaii race season has come to an end, and what a couple of weeks it has been. 4 races: Molokai to Oahu, Maui to Molokai, Paddle Imua, and the Voyager race, all basically with different conditions, and all sorts of results sort of showed that. Throughout these races, there seemed to be a pretty well-defined top group of probably 5 or 6 that were a step above everyone else, and then there was a pretty big chase group that basically all the way up to the top 30, even the top 35 were super close. Shows how good the racing is getting, and basically you can't make any mistakes anymore. There are a couple dark horses like Jarrod Snow from Australia getting some really good results, both Paddle Imua and Maui to Molokai, 5th and 7th respectively. The Tahitian twins did really well too in Molokai to Oahu, leading parts of the race. The other Tahitians, Axel and Raiarii, both with some really good results, both in Maui to Molokai and right up there for Molokai to Oahu as well. Just shows that the depth of Tahitian foilers, just like in paddling, I think they're going to be a real force to be reckoned with in the future. And it's cool to see some other places around the world stepping up. You know, obviously we've got Hawaii and Australia have had some good results in the past, but yeah, the Tahitians are definitely coming, as are the French, with Tom Constant, Thomas Goyard and Clement Colmer really leading that charge. In terms of like podium contenders and people who could definitely win this race, Thompson and Guido, they really stepped up this year. I was battling Kai in Perth earlier, or the end of last year, and he was really giving me a good run for money, but he's taken another step up, and he flogged me in pretty much every race over here. So credit to him and Guido. They've been training hard together, and it's cool to see how fast they're going. Overall times between competitors have gotten closer than ever. There was seconds between so many races, and like I said before, from about 6th or 7th all the way through to 30th, I think there was less than, there was like 2 to 3 minutes between 7th place and 30th place, which just shows the depth of the field. Lots of places were decided by, 3 to 5 seconds, and the difference between, I think, like 7th and 15th in Paddle Imua was less than a minute, which just shows how deep the talent runs and how you make a mistake and you're going to get punished for it. We saw that with Edo shockingly coming like 30th, I think, in Paddle Imua. Used too small a foil, came down. Finn Spencer, who was having a really good sort of, had a few Maui practice races with him and thought he was going to win, but he did a shocker over the Voyager race, and he was sort of outside the top 32. And then Molokai from Oahu, who was a serious contender last year, inside the top 10 multiple occasions. He was actually outside the top 30 this year for Molokai to Oahu, just risking it using a smaller foil and coming down and losing 70 places. So mistakes can't be made, and if you make a mistake, you're going to have a bad result, and we saw that throughout. To me, this year's Hawaiian race season was a really big improvement on last year. Results were much more accurate. Still things can be fixed. The live coverage, that was pretty cool, and still again things could be better, but I think it's a step in the right direction and definitely makes me excited for the future of the racing over here. There's still a few things that could be fixed though. The dot vision's imperfect. It's good. The escort boat was improved from last year from Molokai to Oahu, but realistically I think we all saw that jet ski footage of Kane and Edo, and we've got to get less boat traffic out there, I think, and that was a media boat, but even escort boats, even if the top 2 are getting affected by boat wash, then imagine what the last 20 are getting affected by. So I think less escort boats and more safety boats is probably the way forward in the future, and I'm pretty sure that the organisers are taking steps towards that direction, which is an exciting news and good for the sport. As I said before, the live and the dot vision, while not perfect, it is definitely a step in the right direction, and the really exciting thing is it's growing the wider audience. It's getting out to people that aren't necessarily into foiling, especially the live coverage over here. And yeah, so that's a huge plus, and I think it's just going to help grow the sport even more. Look, the foil racing has become something different from what I think we all got into originally. Downwind foiling is basically surfing out to sea, and the racing aspect of it has become, it's become an up and over. It's a cardio thing. Still a lot of skill and technical ability is important. I've really learned to love it, but I'd like to see more sort of fun run style surf catch-ups or meet-ups, events to complement these races, because I think that will help grow the sport even more. I love the racing. I did it in SUP racing before, foiling, and the challenge is what really appeals to me. The technical, the physical challenge, the tactical challenge, all of that. So for me, I love it, but I'm concerned that it's not what everyone loves, and it could actually turn people away. Now, not going to turn everyone away, but I know there's people that are downwind foiling that will probably never do this race because it's too physical and everyone's going too fast up and over. I hope that the challenge of these channels is preserved, and that conquering the challenge is a good enough challenge to set out to try and achieve, and that challenge is different to racing others. It's about racing yourself and proving what you can do. So I hope that allows the sport to grow, rather than relying on, I guess, the physical battle between others. I think downwind foiling, the beauty of it is the flow and the ability to ride bumps with people and surf and glide out to sea. But that's, I think that is still being preserved, and the downwind runs that happen between races, it's definitely happening. So that's pretty cool to see over here in Hawaii. Despite everyone being over here for racing, people are still getting in sort of surf runs, which is good. It's important to me, and I think the sport. I still think the M2A course is easier than like say the paddleboarders course this weekend, and the SUP course and the outrigger canoe race. Starting at Ilio Point is awesome, and finishing at Hawaii Kai is also great. But I don't think it's the same challenge as the other Molokai to Oahu events that outrigger canoes, surf skis, stand-up paddle and paddleboarders do. I'm not complaining, but it's definitely a different skill set, and I think you could almost have both events in some ways. It's never going to happen, but I think you could almost have a finish at China Wall and a finish at Hawaii Kai, and a start at Kapuhi Beach and a finish and a start at Ilio Point. I think it's sort of set in what it is now. I think they just got to, continue to keep it as it has been the last 2 years. But obviously I got a bit of a soft spot for the old one, because I've done so many on the SUP and won that one in 2023 on the foil. So very biased, but it's the easiest channel for foilers, and we've made it even easier by having an easier start and an easier finish. So I guess I just feel for the other disciplines. It's much harder for them, and the foilers look. The Molokai to Oahu course is now the best foil race for me anyway. Pailolo, Maui to Molokai was always the best on the SUP, but on the foil, the KEB channel is by far the most exhilarating and fun, which definitely was not the case in the SUP days for me. I think there's room for a different event format, not so much racing, but more of the King of the Cutback, or Simeon was trying to start the Voyager flow show. I think that's going to be a cool format. I think it'll happen eventually. I think it just sort of really embodies the spirit of why most people got into downwind foiling, and it's more like a surf contest than it is a speed contest. Still, that's going to put people out. Not everyone likes competing, but I do think it'll create. There's room for that. I think there's room to get people surfing downwind and creating some sort of point score or race within that. But I think that'll come in time. And for now, the point A to point B I love, and I think a lot of people are liking the challenge too. So it's exciting times. But I do think there's room for more growth, it's pretty cool. To me, races are a coming together of the foiling community, and I get a bit concerned that it becomes a little bit too elitist. I'm as guilty as anyone. I want to go as fast as possible, but it can put beginners off, and it kind of ostracises part of the community. It's a concern, but I think if we include these fun runs and these sort of flow show, King of the Cutback style races as well, I think we're covered. So the Hawaiian race season is always going to be a speed thing, but I think there's room to add in those other formats, and that's going to allow more beginners and intermediates to sort of come into the core, I guess, or the elitist sort of community with open arms, and sort of help grow the sport. So this year, I haven't done the numbers, but the Koakai will crown Kane DeWild as the Koakai men's champion, and Annie Reichardt as the women's Koakai champion. Rightly so, they race so well across Maui to Molokai and Molokai to Oahu. And really I think there's room to add the Paddle Imua and Voyager race into the mix as well, but they sort of were pretty clear with just those two races counting, which I think, if you're going to pick two, they're the two to pick. The I do still want to announce sort of a downwind foil world tour. Just getting a bit of opinion from other people and going to release that soon. But yeah, that's I guess my Thursday thoughts for this week. Bit of a wrap up on the racing, and yeah, hope you've enjoyed.